just to spite your face. Yes. You cut off your nose, yeah, just to spite your face. Say, if I don't get satisfaction, there's bound to be bloodshed all up in this place. Yes. You know he tried to quit me when I ain't done nothing wrong. He put me out the door and I ain't even got no home. I said, bring me my shotgun and just one or two shells. Say, if I don't get competition, bound to be some trouble around here. Bring me my shotgun, yes, and just one or two shells. Yeah. Go on, bring me my shotgun, yeah, and a pocket full of shells. You know I'm gonna kill that boss man, gonna throw him down in that deep dark well. Hide him from everybody, they won't know where he's at. You know my daddy told me the day I left his door, he said, you're gonna be bad luck, girl, and I don't care where you go. I said, bring me my shotgun and just one or two shells. Now, if I don't get some competition, gonna be trouble all up in here. The man said, baby, you can't shoot me. He said, now you're dead or trying. Yes, I don't take a day off for nobody. He said, baby, you can't shoot me. Now don't you dare to try. I said, the only reason I don't shoot you, my double-barreled shotgun just won't fire. Yeah, Colin.
It just would not occur to me to say, not in my neighborhood.
It's definitely given me the confidence to speak up for myself and continue to speak up regardless of who's in front of me.
Because I really just, to me, what it comes down to is a politic of care. Care for your neighbor, care for your community.
Well, if you're feeling kinda hungry and thirsty, and you'd like to have a tasty treat, hey man! Swing on down to the snack bar for wonderful things to eat. Popcorn, candy and nuts, hot dogs, and ice cream.
May I offer a vociferous recommendation for the cuisine and delicacies tendered patrons of the snack bar? Snack bar!
Rich?
Hey, man. Dude, I've got like 1 day off for like 11 days.
Oh.
I've just worked 7 days. It's my mom's birthday. And all the day I've just been running fucking errands for her, but trying to do all the shit that I'm trying to fucking do.
I'm sorry,
like,
man. You don't have to.
No. I want to do. I want to make this work. I want
It'll
to
be
do
cool,
it.
but-
Yeah. Richard Atkins, I sing in the Wee Beasties. Damn, I got holes in my foot. I used to get holes in my pants for cigarette burns. I learned how to not do that. But I was working on a car and I pulled a battery out and I got battery acid on me.
Oh, shoot.
I'm kind of in this weird cusp where like I'm a full-time musician, but I still have to like work to be a person. I got here in the summer of '94. My parents just got divorced. I like hated being here like the first couple years. So I started realizing there's like art and music everywhere, and that it was paradise.
Joey! There we go. We were just killing time talking about radiators.
Dude, thank you so
Radiators. What's up, man?
much. What's up, brother?
It's a Martin.
Oh, what? Dude.
It's pretty.
I might do one I wrote in the county jail. I'd gotten arrested. Well, I guess I robbed a bank on December 7th of 2012, and I turned myself in the next day with some friends and stuff, like bonded me out like 8 days later. I think I actually wrote this one when I went back. Damn, I should have grabbed some water. They ended up putting me like on 10 years of probation, which like was not gonna work. I mean, I just did not live the lifestyle that was like conducive to like showing up places on time, and so they would re-arrest me ever so often, and I'd spend like 4 months in jail, and then they'd like re-release me like that, back on probation, like that was gonna be better. Like, well, now we've made it to where you don't have a job or a place to live or a phone or anything. Let's re-release you and see how that goes. And this is just like one of those like 3-chord country songs about being in jail. You ready? Keep me out of prison. Keep me out of jail. I'm weary and I'm tired, and I can't make my bail. These walls will take my soul right out of me. Oh, I can't suffer through this one more minute. I don't want to be here. This is a mistake. I'm weary and I'm tired, 'cause the guards keep me awake, and I am full of thoughts of only you, and you can't afford to take the collect calls they give me. These walls, these fucking walls, these walls, these goddamn walls know me. Oh, mom, don't find out. Oh, my dad, don't find out. Oh, please. Oh, please. That was quite a big hit on Pot 11. Did you get it? You think a pill is gonna fix you? Now you do yoga in the red. You've identified your triggers. Then I
Popcorn, candy and nuts, hot dogs, and ice cream.
May I offer a vociferous recommendation for the cuisine and delicacies tendered patrons of the snack bar?
Snack bar. Snack bar. And here's a real thirst-quenching treat. Dr. Pepper is the friendly pepper-upper, and it never, never, never lets you down. Remember, it's a friendly pepper-upper. Dr. Pepper never, never lets you down.
Frosty, man, Frosty.
At the sound of the tone, it will be just 5 minutes to showtime. There's still plenty of time to visit the refreshment stand.
I've always said that there's two things that I support. One, if you work all day, you deserve to own enough mayonnaise for a month. And two, Iron Maiden air guitar should be taught to all children from kindergarten through 9th grade. And last, his pa, my brother, was a great man. He is a great man. We can't remember. And that's why I endorse Catfish Calhoun for president. City Council. What's that?
Take 13.
City Council.
Hi, my name is Catfish Calhoun, but my friends call me Cat, or Fish, or Catfish Calhoun. Now I know what you're thinking. Why is such a good-looking young man running for local politics? Well, the answer is simple. Now, this isn't just ain't your grandpa's political campaign. Oh no, I'm not just running for the at-large seat. No, I am launching my own party, and I would like to invite you to join us as we launch the Satanican Party of America. In the Satanican Party, we're not a bunch of lib turds. We're also not a bunch of conservative wussy boys either. Sign up today and get a free Slurpee from my cousin Hee-Hoo, who works at a gas station.
He really does.
It's true. I do work here. You know, they tell me I'm not supposed to give away Slurpees, but I do all the time to people who sign up for the party. And to hot moms who can't afford cigarettes.
It's like my pa used to tell me. Son, people are like catfish that you catch at the lake. They die. Either you eat them or you throw them back. That's why I'm at this graveyard, because I can't afford a boat.
Go ahead, sign up for the Satanican Party, and then come on by here. I work here too. I'll give you a free Coke or oil filter.
Uncle Catfish?
I ain't your uncle, Uncle Jimmy Jim.
Oh, that's right. You keep telling me that. Anyway, why is crime?
Well, that's a really good question. One that I think we should let the voters decide. Aren't you tired of crime? I know I am. I mean, just last week, some fellers, they spray painted my air guitar while I was wearing it, and I got so high that the fumes caused me to pass out next to a dumpster behind 2 trucks. When I woke up, the dumpster was covered in mayonnaise-colored vomit, whatever that was about, and my balls hurt. There's a reason we have so much crime. They say idle hands are the devil's playground. If the kids don't have the devil in their hands, they'll do crime. We simply keep our kids too busy. And if they had less to do, they'd be able to do devil things. Like video games, eating handfuls of mayonnaise, and playing air guitar.
You joined the Satanican Party yet? Look, I don't actually work here, but if you want a Coke, I'll totally hook you up.
We come from a family of succeeders. Uncle Jimmy Jim and I had the finest of 3rd grade educations. We were so good at it, we did it 2 times each. Well, I went 2.5 times. And my cousin He-Hoo, whose name stands for he whose name I don't remember but is closely related to me, went all the way through the 8th grade. He went so many times, he was forced out at 18. Huh, that's politics for you. I bet if he had a pa like mine, that would have never happened. He'd probably still be there.
I miss your pa. He was dumb as a box of melted forks, but I loved him like he was my own brother.
He was your brother. You're my uncle.
Oh yeah, but here. That's what Catfish Calhoun believes in, and it's also the things that I believe in. That's why he gets my vote.
This message was paid for by the Satanic and Party Mayo Pack, and I approve this message. In the name of Satan.
everybody. Thanks for coming to the Little D TV and DC TV mayoral debate. We're going to do things a little bit differently tonight. Usually at these forums, we're standing behind podiums, we're delivering prepared remarks, sometimes not so prepared, but tonight we're having a nice open conversation about several topics that the community is interested in. So I want to thank everybody for coming, everybody for watching at home. Thank you for the crew. It's been amazing to see this all come together because this is a wild idea and we're going to have fun with it. I want to keep things light. We can get into meaty topics. No pulverizing each other, please. We will get into the rules a little bit further. We have some mini games coming up, and we have some power play cards that we get to choose from here in a second. We're going to change things up from the traditional debate. Let's start off with introducing each other. Let's go here. I'll give you all 60 seconds.
Yep.
And then once we get into it, because it is an open discussion, we'll probably learn a little bit more about us as we go. So feel free not to get, we don't need to learn
the whole backstory?
Yeah, your whole backstory.
Yeah, all right. Well, I am Brian Beck. I'm the current city council person for District 2. I've been on council for 5 years, mayor pro tem for 2, chair a number of committees, Committee on the Environment, Development Code Review Committee, Shelter, Community Partnership on the Downtown Terrace. So I've had a little opportunity to kind of sample everything that the city has to offer for the last 5 years. I live in the Idiots Hill neighborhood. I've raised 2 kids out there, and they're both either in college about to graduate or in graduate school right now, and lived here for about 20 years, and my background is in computational biology.
Janet?
Hi, I'm Shannon Childs. You can read all about me over on Facebook. I'm running for mayor because I work with college students every single day who have been struggling, and I've seen that struggle increase in the past couple of years. And I think that our city leadership can do something about it. So that's why I'm up here.
Mr. Watts?
Thank you. My name is Chris Watts. Grew up here in Denton. I've been here about 60 years, graduated from Denton High in '79 when there was one Denton High in Denton. Graduated from North Texas with a computer science degree, a master's in counseling and student services, and then went to law school in my late 30s and practiced law for about 5 years. Live out down the street from the University of North Texas football stadium. And so I know about road construction. It's been going on for about 3 years. So I look forward to this. Thank you, Cameron, for hosting this in this kind of very creative venue and event so that we can talk about the issues that are important.
We got to do something to get these people invested in local politics, okay?
Yes.
Thanks. Hey, I'm Angela Brewer. I am from Denton, Texas. I came a few years after Chris, graduated from Denton High in '92 and UNT in '97 and 2007. I've been teaching for most of my career in communication studies, and I love my hometown. That's why I decided to run for mayor. I think we've been on the wrong track for a while. I'm ready to get us back going in the right direction. So, and I really want to say thank you for putting together something that doesn't involve like 90-second bits. And thank you for bringing these little marshmallows.
It's Easter candy. Oh yeah, it's Good Friday. Happy Good Friday.
Happy Good Friday.
Okay. Thank you guys all for coming. Thank you, the audience, for everybody coming up. I hope you guys can hear. There is an overflow section outside, just in case you can't, you know, if we start shouting or something. You know, anyway, or whispering. Anyway, okay. Let's get into the first segment. I want to go over some of the fun things that we have. Each of you has for whenever we really get into the discussion, has a closed caption power play card. At any point, should you want to fact check someone or yourself, or you will be given 60 seconds, slap it down, bam, 60 seconds to take out your phone and do some research. Alternatively, the winners of the Price Master is Right game, which is what we have in front of us, will not only be determining the order that we go in, and then we'll alternate after that, but also we have 4 different power play cards, which are individual. We have Fast Forward, which means get to the point. As we know, politicians, government officials like to talk. If you are just sick and tired of that, slap that down, tell them to get to the point. Feel free not to use any of these. I don't want this to be, we're having fun. Change channel.
Oh, yeah.
If for some reason we want to segue into something else, we can change the topic. Slap that down. Mute. This is probably going to be the most popular one. Let me talk for 60 seconds. Everyone else, if we're all going back between each other, slap it down. Guys, let them monologue for 60 seconds.
Do you have 2 of those?
We only have the one. So there's going to be some strategy involved. And finally, we have rewind. If we get off on a tangent, stay on topic, go back to the question. Let's all repeat ourselves. Stay on track. So, do we want to hit the... Mr. Dean, do we want to hit the Price Master is Right intro? Okay, so for our first prize, and this is where you each have a sheet in front of you for your offers. We are going to be making offers on, it's under there, Chris.
It is.
We have 4 different pieces of treasure, of Denton treasure. We have the first one, the Denton Mac and Cheese Award. If you guys would like to make, it's amazing. You can see it at the shelf at the Bearded Monk anytime you come here. If you would like to write down your first offer, we'll see what the Price Master has. And whoever gets closest gets the first choice at the power plays. Okay, would you like to say your... Angela, let's start with you.
Okay. I've got $123,200,000.
500,000.
I guessed 420,000.
I lowballed this one at 5,000.
Well, that one didn't work, so while there's going to be some kinks during this,
We're rolling with it.
we're going to say that was $40,000. Who got closest?
Way over.
I think I had 5,000 as close.
Would you like? So you'll go first whenever, or actually,
It's your game, Cameron.
No, I'm just trying to make it as a winner. All right. Would you like any of these power play cards?
Oh, I think we're all coveting the mute. So if that's an option, I'll take that
You can
one.
take the mute. There you go.
All right.
You can slap that down at any point during the rest of the evening. Okay.
Okay, that's another. Okay.
Now, the next one, and that means you'll be the first one whenever the question gets posed.
Cool.
We'll go to you first, and then we'll alternate in the future. Okay. Next one is a piece of Denton road construction.
That's great.
Please write down your bids. Hopefully, Price Master will be queued up. I made all these videos last night, y'all, so I apologize if it doesn't all work. Okay, let's start working well under pressure.
I said 2 million this time.
2 million.
I said 15,000.
15,000.
I said 2.3 million.
2.3. Oh, this is gonna be close.
I went $1.
$1? Oh,
Price is right.
All right. Let's see what Price Master has to say.
Okay then. I think that's correct.
Chris, would you like a
I
power
was
play
on the
card?
losing end of that.
No, actually, I gotta write down that you go and then you go.
I was the furthest away both times. Does that get me anything?
No, you're closest.
So do these cards, like he'll keep that one permanently throughout the whole game? So
You can only use it once, but.
Oh, okay. All right. What's this? I'm going to take it to the point.
Get to the point. That'll be a
That's a good
useful
one.
one tonight. No offense,
That's a good
everybody. Okay. The second. No, third. I'm not a math guy, y'all. We got a slice of tomato pizza. It is the tomato special. Y'all can actually take it home if you want. So, and it comes with the accoutrement. Please write down your bids. Start with you.
Okay. I went with $321,000.
Good slice of pizza.
$29,999.
All right.
Oh, I said $700 million.
Get it.
That's a Fort Knox pizza. I said $474.39.
What does the Price Master have to say? Let's see, what do we got? Who's at 10,000? You're at 400.
I'm 400. I thought he was 29.
29.99. I guess that makes you. Does that
Yeah,
make?
it's great.
What did you have?
What was the? It was.
What was the number? 40,000?
I had 474, but what was it? 40,000? What was it?
10,000.
10,000. So 20,000.
This is really good.
Who's closest? Is it the closest bet out?
Yeah, or is it Price is Right rules?
Yeah, is it Price is Right rules?
Let's make it Price is Right rules.
All right, then everyone's out except me.
Yeah. All right. Well, you already have a card, so. No, actually. I guess you get two now.
Change channel.
Change channel. You change topics if you want. All right. Last one. This is a biggie. By that I mean it's a little. It is the Discover Denton from the little D-town.
I love that one.
Representing the city of Denton at large.
At large.
Thank you, the creators of Little D, for letting us borrow this for this event. Please write down your bids. I should have had some tension music.
I don't know why I thought so hard about this.
It's important. It's important. What is the price? Wait, no. I'll start with you, Brian.
Oh, we're going back this way.
Yeah.
I put $9,999.99.
All right, Shannon.
I said 14 million this time.
14 minutes, 14 and a half even.
99,999.
All right.
Got 15 million and one.
Let's see what Price Master actually bids on the city of Denton. Not much, y'all. Not much. All right, well, nobody gets the rewind button.
Aw, man.
Too bad.
That's all right.
Too bad. That's all right.
Should have. There you go.
Sorry, guys. Sorry if that hit anybody. Okay. Let's get into the first topic, which will be homelessness. Are we queued up for that? All right. So, please turn your attention to the screen, and we can get into it.
And so the 4 homes are a little over an acre. And so this home's been abandoned for a while. And then also we'll include this 914 Lindsay. And then this house as well that currently has renters in it. And so they will be moving out probably in about 90 days. So all 4 of those homes will be demolished and become McAdams Haven. We'll be putting in 84 units to replace these 4 single-family homes that will service people who are experiencing chronic homelessness with disabilities. I found this piece of land, it was about a year and a half ago. And at that point, we started looking at the feasibility. You have to run market studies and then getting things together for the LIHTC application and everything that the city needs as well so that we can get a resolution of support. We were awarded last July for the LIHTC application. And then from there, it's been just a lot of pre-development with the city and working with city staff to try to get things moving forward. We have timelines that we have to meet with the application with the state of Texas, and we have to have everything built within like 15 months of breaking ground. So some of the roadblocks we've come across as we've gone through this process is that there's a lot of regulation. There's a lot of hoops you have to jump through with planning and zoning. One of the things that we're having to do here is we're having to put in a whole lot of parking that's not even needed, and which is costing more money to develop this property. It's shown that MHMR's current households that are a part of their connection program, which are the same individuals we'll be serving, they have 4 cars between 60 households. And we're being required to put in additional parking that's not needed. And again, driving up the cost. There's a lot of things that, like parking, some zoning restrictions that drive up the cost of affordable housing and cause time. And homelessness is a housing problem. And so, I want to know as a candidate what you're going to do to make it easier to get affordable housing on the ground. I want to know why our property that that we were putting in, which is an affordable housing, has tons of 30%, which we can hardly get developers to do, has paid $600,000 in impact fees to the city. That is making it impossible to create affordable housing. And until we have these deeply affordable units, we are going to continue to see a homelessness problem. So what are you going to do to make a difference for our city?
So that's just a jumping off point for us, but there are specific questions in there. And Brian?
Yes.
We'll start with you.
Yes.
60 seconds, and then we'll get into it. 60 seconds around the board.
No, I'm really glad Carrie led off on some of those questions. I think it's really important. The McAdams with the wraparound support services are going to be that next step up out of ODB into a permanent supportive wraparound structure that will allow you to get back into Alice household status. And one of the things I noticed serving on council, and particularly serving on the Development Code Review Committee, is she's absolutely right. Parking minimums are getting in the way of all kinds of things. We should let those be controlled by the market rate. We're overparked in some areas and underparked in others, and those forces need to be reduced. And another way we can help that is with fast tracking pre-approved permitting plans that have been already run through development services. So, yes on absolutely killing parking minimums, yes on fast tracking, one of the things that we worked on this last council was, and I'm probably hitting my 60 seconds here, but we worked on trying to forgive impact fees, especially for roadways, and I was pushing for water and other utilities that we control as well, for exactly the reasons that Carrie brought up.
Cool. Speaking of which, I am going to get my timer going.
That's fair.
There's a timer over there, but I want to have one on hand anyway. Okay. Let's do Shannon.
Yeah, I appreciate how this question was really connected to the idea of transportation. I think both housing and transportation are such married concepts. I think at the end of the day, too, though, like the most almost, I guess, special thing that I would say about what's coming with this new supportive housing development is the idea that within the housing development is wraparound services, which is things like counseling, access to health care, and other social services that are designed to actually help people overcome their situations and overcome poverty. However, I do think that this is just a Band-Aid on a larger issue, and I don't know how much time I have left, so I'm going to leave it at that right now.
All right. Mr. Watts.
Sure. This is really what they would call in the legal field a case of first impression. This is one of the first apartment buildings that I can remember that's being built under this program, where they're actually meeting the needs of 30% average median income households, which are the poorest households in our community. The city is losing $6 million a year in tax exemptions, property tax exemptions for quote unquote affordable housing. Being that this is the first one, unfortunately, it's also scar tissue, and that is how can we improve when we've never had to deal with this before? So we have to look at the parking minimums. We have to say, come before the council, it's a case-by-case basis. How can we make sure that when it's true affordable housing, that we can do what we need to do to help improve? Because these units, they cost the same amount of money as the ones that are being built everywhere. But this organization has come in and put a program together that truly will provide the next step from the ODB facility. And so we can learn from this and go, okay, we made some mistakes. There's some policies that we need to change. And
that's it, Chris.
Okay, thank you.
Cool.
Yeah, I really appreciate the way that Carrie framed out the question, particularly thinking about sort of the lessons we've been learning over time. So dealing with the issues to support our homeless community, we've had to make changes over time. So we started with an emergency shelter, and we were doing the best we could with what our compassion and our hearts told us was right, but found out that was maybe not the best way to help people. So then we made those shifts into the true case management and wraparound service, and trying to put a continuum in place where people can come into shelter, get their feet underneath them, then move into McAdams Haven and get their feet underneath them even more steadily there, and then hopefully transition into apartment complexes or single family homes throughout our community. So it's a fantastic model. It's taken us a little while to get here, but I love the direction that it's going in. I love the feedback that Carrie was giving on where the problems still stand. So like Chris said, we have learning to do, and so certainly getting rid of the parking requirements and looking at those fees to see where truly affordable housing could get some breaks that other housing development doesn't.
For sure. Do we want to? We got 20 minutes on the clock.
I can get 20 minutes on the clock.
All right. At some point, we'll have the timer behind us. But okay, let's open up the table. There we go. So that's a great way to kick off. How did we get to this point? I mean, we've seen an increase in homelessness, obviously. There are so many organizations that are in this community that are doing a lot of great work, obviously a lot of great work. I mean, let's just look at that. A lot of them encounter similar roadblocks, not even ones that are trying to build affordable housing, but I mean, heck, famously the Denton Water Project, some of their stations get shut down. And I understand that but we can get into that. How did we get to this point, and how do we honestly get out of it in an emergency scenario, because the homelessness situation is increasing so rapidly? We don't have time to wait 3-4 years to build.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I love the way that Carrie said that homelessness is a housing problem. I think that often when we start talking about homelessness, we start thinking about all of the problems a person encountered to end up on the street. But first and foremost, when people can't afford to pay the rent or pay a mortgage, that's when they end up without a place to live. So for as many people as we see out on our streets who might be dealing with mental health issues or addiction or disability, there are just as many homeless people who are sleeping in their cars or couch surfing, who are going to a job every day, who are taking their kids to school every day. Our homeless problem isn't just the folks that we see out about on the streets. Our homeless problem is much larger than that, and it is a housing problem.
Well, I know that. Let's see ahead.
Well, I mean, she's not wrong, but I would say that there's a disparity between wages and that we're taught a third of your income needs to be dedicated towards housing of whatever sort, and we've seen a steady decline over my entire lifetime, and definitely therefore over Shannon's, where we have this decline of the ratio of wages to the expenses. And so now many people spend 50% or more. So I think given those circumstances, I think there's an opportunity to look for flexibility. And Carrie alluded to that in her opening dialogue, where we were talking about parking minimums. What are flexible, not necessarily innovative, but just things we haven't been doing that we need to try to throw at this, because it's absolutely, we've been throwing the same tired tools at these things for too long and need to apply new tools.
Thanks for bringing me into this, Brian. Yeah, I think asking how did we get to this point is a pretty privileged question. As someone who lives in Denton, whose rent increased over $400 in the last couple of years, I can tell you pretty quickly how we got to this point. And that is because of landlords and people in this town who prioritize greed over compassion. And we need to start pushing back. We need to start organizing as a community to support not just our homeless people, but the working people who can't afford to live and stay in Denton.
Well, when I ran for mayor the first time in 2014, homelessness was not even a campaign issue. But after that, I convened the Mayor's Task Force on Homelessness, which there were a lot of people doing work with the unsheltered in our community, but they were sort of siloed, doing their own thing, spending a sort of money on duplicative services. So put together a panel of experts. They created this plan that they've been working on since 2016, which culminated in the shelter and the homeless community center out at Loop 288. But I really want to stress this. This community that's being built, that was talked about, it is very unique because it's a permanent, supportive housing community. In other words, these people can move there, they can receive financial services and case management services, and they can stay there. This isn't where they've got to go on to another place, to another situation. It's much cheaper to prevent unsheltered families than it is to deal with them later on. One thing that we did, which is still in existence, I believe, is the United Way's Barriers Fund, which people can contribute to that. And what that does is it helps families that have one-up kind of, you got a medical issue, you got a car repair issue, you got things that happen, because that's where we also need to focus. But this particular project, this is the way that we truly help those who sometimes people are unable to necessarily get to the point where we want to move them in some places, like get you a job, steady, you're self-sufficient. There's some that are unable to do that, and these kind of facilities help us meet that need. So I think it takes another community conversation that we had a few years ago to bring the experts in this community, the advocates for those unsheltered, developers, community activists, the citizens, to say, where do we go from here? Because we're at a different stage, and I don't even know if it's a stage of failure. I think it's a stage we've come to where we've solved a problem up to this point, and now we're moving to in a different direction to solve a different type of problem, and that is to make it more, to go to the next step, help people truly.
But what are the levers that were you to get elected, that you could actually pull to, because
sure.
there's so many organizations, and just like her, I mean, they're building a whole complex, and that's a lot of work. But even people that are just on the boots on the ground, they're still running into these walls that are either put up by the city or different situations. That like what levers can you pull to really get in there and help these people?
Well, Chris just named a task force that he created to help reduce redundancy and create more efficiency when there were lots of different groups serving folks who are unhoused. And we need that again, because when I get together with folks in our community who are working on this problem, there's a group I've met with at my church where there are church leaders and nonprofit leaders getting together to work on this. Then I went to a different meeting with folks at the city and different nonprofit leaders getting together to work on this. And we need to go back to that task force and kind of get a good handle on what do we have, what are our assets, what are we working with right now, where we stand, where do we need to go next, and what are the appropriate roles to play for each of the groups in our community who are working on the problem.
I appreciate that, but I do think it's a little bit idealist. I think that this problem starts by meeting homeless people where they are and asking them what they need. We do have all of these groups, but without that investment, without meeting someone where they are, people are too afraid to approach these resources because they don't know the hidden rules behind trying to ask for help. And it's up to us as city leaders to teach those rules and to make people feel like these resources are accessible to them. That means going out into the community, that means serving people, that means talking to homeless people, that means helping people find the resources that they need in the moment where they are. Because a big piece of this issue that I guess people don't want to talk about is there are mental health components to this, there are health components to this, and people don't want to talk about that because those things cost money and those things cost us. But the problem is that we have to start investing in that now, because otherwise we're looking at the cost of human lives.
One of the things to piggyback right off Shannon is meeting people where they live, I love that you stated it that way. I don't think there was pun intended, but it is exactly on point. So good job. But the thing that there's an opportunity for again, I said flexible solutions. A few years ago, there were a lot of, as Angela's alluding to, there was a lot of people and a lot of ideas, and we sort of coalesced on a few of them. And I think to get to this idea of meeting people where they live, you have to have a broad portfolio. So we need the tiny home villages that we didn't do a few years ago that I've been supporting for the last 5 years. We need ODB shelter. We need to do diversionary wraparound support services. It needs to be a yes and it needs to represent the community where they can give and take and move at different levels throughout that, so that they can transition at a pace that matches where they are.
Well, speaking of ODB, I mean, obviously they had to kind of switch gears last year. The point in time count hasn't been officialized. The numbers haven't been released yet. But even going by last year's numbers, ODB doesn't have the space for them in its current form. Overnight shelters, maybe. But even then, there's rules. People are on the blacklist, essentially. Where are those people supposed to go? If we open the inclement weather stations or weather centers, but even them, they'll tell you, are insufficient. So when there's an actual emergency, where are these people supposed to go to be safe? Say there's a freeze. Where are they supposed to go? If they're not allowed at ODB, maybe Salvation Army's closed.
That's why I was opposing the cutting back. I understand why we did it. The idea was that there was not enough case management. Sure. We could only support 120-ish case managers. But I think there was an opportunity to realize, and I guess I didn't make the point strongly enough at the time, and that was and Chris said this a second ago, emergency services are so much more, 3, 4, 5 times more costly than diversionary services. You can serve 4 or 5 people for the same amount as sending police and fire and hot teams out into the field. And so the more that we can divert people away, so I think You're exactly right. We're going to end up spending more money during these
But
hot
this is
heat and
not
cold
new.
events.
I don't mean to cut you off. This is not new
It's your
information.
game.
Thank you. This is not new information, though. Like,
no,
can't I veto that. This is not new.
Application. No.
But this is not. Thank you. This is not new information, though. Like, this is studies have shown that forever. You know, preventative, getting in there before it becomes a problem.
Okay, so I want to.
So why haven't we done that yet?
There hasn't been the will to do it, and we haven't had the leadership to do it. That's mine.
I disagree with that. I want to make sure I understand what you're really talking about. I want to make sure that I'm clear. Because what you said was inclement weather, like if it's freezing or if it's hot or things such as that. The rules that changed at the shelter in no way precluded that. I mean, the rule change was basically they had an amount, that, I think it's 120 or 103 people, it was up to 199, that could stay overnight. But they were also, to do that, they would be involved in programs of case management services. They would be involved with job assistance and also housing assistance. So, look, this is a difficult conversation.
And it's complex, too.
It's complex.
Really
it's complex, and there's no silver bullet except to continue to try. And so the changes at ODB, I mean, the executive director said, if we don't make some changes to better help the people that we're helping, we're really not helping anyone except just providing a place where they can come. And some people had stayed there for a year and a half. And it wasn't designed to be transitional housing. She said we'd run out of money and we'd have to basically not serve anybody in Denton. Well, that means they shut it down or the city takes it over, and I think their budget is $3 million. Now, the community can make that decision. So as far as the emergency situations, I think, first of all, if people call and they report to 911 an emergency, EMTs show up. So it's not like people are going without emergency services or emergency cares or transport them whatever they need to.
I was speaking more broadly of
they're
emergency.
going day after day. Like they went almost every single day in 2025. That is costing us.
Right. Every time the emergency services are called out, we've got a problem. That's more expensive than finding adequate shelter. And there are a lot of folks who can't go to ODB because they've been criminally trespassed there. So even in an emergency situation, they might not be able to find shelter there because they've been criminally trespassed. And so it's not an option for them. So they actually have nowhere to go. And once Salvation Army fills up, or you've maxed out your stay at the Salvation Army, then you've got nowhere to go. The other group of folks who have absolutely nowhere to go in our community are people who are homeless and need medical care. So if you are in the hospital and you get discharged and you don't have a place to go, they will give you a go zone over to ODB, but ODB cannot take you because they cannot support healthcare needs. There is no place in Denton County for that. So we've got some really big problems to think about when it comes to homelessness. And I appreciate that you disagreed that we haven't had the leadership or the will to do it, but I don't see it. I haven't seen the leadership or the will on this subject. I've seen a lot of people talking about really nice ideas and wouldn't it be great and how about we do this, but I haven't seen a lot of action. I mean, Brian just said a minute ago, we coalesced around a few ideas and we were moving forward from there. But you haven't, because the experience I've had with organizations is there isn't that a collaboration going on. So whatever this was that you were talking about a minute ago, Brian, that there was coalescing around ideas, it hasn't come to play. It hasn't had any impact. So maybe there was a nice discussion in City Hall, but there has not been action for our community to benefit from.
So sorry, and I just want to say you are exactly right, and that's another key part of this, because that's why what's happening with these 84 units of shelter, that's a Band-Aid, because in 2025, Our Daily Bread, there were months where they were serving sometimes upwards of 700 people, and now we're down to 200, 150, 100. That's a problem. 84 people is a Band-Aid.
Yeah, so where are the other 300 people? And say there's 500, 600 people. If 80% of them have been criminally trespassed for what some of them will have said on record that I wasn't doing anything wrong, that it might be a little arbitrary. Where are they supposed to go? But
I love that we're having a discussion about this, and that's what we need more of in Denton. We need more discussing. We need more people coming together. People in Denton have huge hearts for everyone in our community. People in Denton want to solve this problem. They want to solve this problem, and not because they're uncomfortable with homeless people in the street. They want to solve this problem because their hearts are broken for the people who are on the street. That's why we want to solve this problem. So I know that this community is all for it. What we have to do is have that community conversation. We need to bring people together. We need to get everybody's brain working on it and rowing the boat in the same direction, and then really take some action. Not a lot of talking in City Hall, and then it just fizzles out and gets left to the nonprofits again.
Well, we have 5 minutes left, so let's go around the table. What would be a specific here and now, boots on the ground legislation or action a lever that you would pull?
Yeah, I think I appreciate that. That's one of the things I think we're servicing these needs in the county already. The largest amount of unhoused is here. The county seat is here. All the resources are here. Most of the nonprofits are here. So we're already doing it. And one of the things that we made a mistake on, and I was advocating not, and I would push for this going forward as mayor, is we need to own the fact that we are the regional provider for a lot of these services, and take what Gary Henderson over at the United Way has proven is a good model that works. It doesn't always, it doesn't mean there's not service gaps, but that hub and spoke model is a way of connecting up and stitching together various services, and you can expand that not just to the city of Denton, but to the surrounding communities, Crum, Little Elm, Louisville, Carrollton. We can be where the resources, they may be small in those other cities, but there's an opportunity to not have those folks migrate to Denton and have our services in supporting them. It can be a complete countywide effort where Denton acts as a clearinghouse to get them in and out of the county, and that would make opportunities for county, state, and federal money to get back on the table. If we were a regional provider, that we're losing opportunity for money to be on the table right now.
We like money.
Brian, you said this, and I don't know why you didn't bring it up now, but I think we need to start looking at zoning for camps and investing in these camps that can become tiny home villages. This is a way that we can create community that feels like they belong. And when someone feels like they belong, that's when they want to do the work to give back. And it doesn't have to be that hard. It just takes pitching. And I don't know why we're not pitching this session after session, because this is the way to start resolving this.
Mr. Chris?
I think it's very clear from the discussion at this table that that's why we have to have another community-wide conversation. Because I'm going to be honest, Shannon, when you say 84 units for permanent supportive housing is a Band-Aid, I'm just going to have to respectfully disagree with you on that, because there's 84 people that are out in the street that might need mental health, because permanent supportive housing is not people that are just, they need case management services, they need possible medical attention, medical care, help to get to and from their appointments. So I think this goes to show the importance to flush out all the facts, because an 84-unit apartment complex, they didn't say how much it costs, but it's going to be upwards of probably $100 million. I mean, at least it's probably a couple $100,000 a unit or something like that. 20. So we also have what we've got to talk about: resources.
I'll make sure Angela gets in here in a second.
How do we maximize the resources? I'm going to save some time so that
appreciate you.
Well, and I'm going to pick up where you left off, that we've really got to maximize grant funding. That's how the folks who are building McAdams Haven are funding this project. That is a really expensive project, but it's primarily through grant funding. So we should have resources in our city dedicated to searching out those grants. It's left into this nonprofit's hands right now, but we should be partnering with them more intentionally on seeking out the funding we need to build more units like McAdams Haven. The other thing that I actually am going to agree with Chris on is this has to be community driven, and there has to be a role for the citizens of Denton to play. I see countless folks who are out doing their own independent work with the homeless community, right? I mean, they're all around us right now, where they put extra snacks in their car and they go hand things out, or they have too much dinner left over on Sunday and they go out into a park and they hand those things out. People have a passion to work on this. When I was meeting with a group of church leaders and nonprofits, they were talking about a training program that the city of Plano has done, where they've trained community volunteers to be prepared to staff city facilities during inclement weather. So the problem we've always heard in Denton, we can't open the Civic Center when it gets below freezing because we can't staff it. Well, let's train up a group of community volunteers who are ready to come in and staff that property, and we've solved a problem.
That conversation a few months ago when that issue, so many people said, I will volunteer.
I will be there. Show me where to go. We do need some training behind that. I mean, willing hearts, I love, that's why I love Denton so much, because of the compassion in the hearts. But let's get a program in place to train these volunteers so that we know when inclement weather is coming. It's going to be in July and August and January and February.
Maybe tonight.
That's when it happens. So we know when it's coming. Let's get the team prepared to serve in those spaces. And that's just one small issue, right? The inclement weather issue. We've got lots of other issues to deal with, lots of gaps to fill, and we have to have a community-driven solution behind it.
Well, I think we can all agree that obviously it's a complicated subject, but in a community conversation is what we need. But we need the follow-through, right? We need concrete ideas. It can't get lost in the bureaucracy. It can't get lost in the we need to follow through. So let's take a 90-second commercial break because we got sponsors.
Woo-woo. Yeah,
they support this show. And then we'll get into the second segment when we come back.
Fantastic. Terrible.
You can sign in. We've got, I think we're mutuals. Hi, I'm Priscilla. It's a lesbian social club that I started for lesbians to connect with other lesbians and sapphic people so that we can have our own little space. Lesbianism is really unique in that it's the only sexuality that has nothing to do with men. Whenever you're in a lesbian-only space, it creates a whole new understanding of yourself and gender.
Nice little commercial break.
Yeah.
None of us left the table because there's too many wires everywhere, so we appreciate you. Our next segment will be talking about infrastructure. Do we want to roll? Want to roll it?
Beautiful being president.
This one's not as long.
I'm Chasten Michael Rankin, the creator of Denton Around Towners. We have over 100,000 members, and the question I get most often is, how are the roads? So I'm here to find out. It's wet, and it's got a hole in it. It's broken. Roads closed. So, how are the roads? I don't know. I just run a Facebook page. So, let's ask all y'all sitting around that table. How are the roads? Why are they so bad sometimes? Why is there so much construction at times? What are you going to do about it? How are you going to help us? Please, we just want to know, how are the roads?
Thank you, the creator of Denton Around Towners, for starring in that little segment. We kicked off with Brian first, so we will go over to Shannon now.
Oh, okay. Why are the roads always under construction?
Why? What's going on with the road, man? Now there's TxDOT, that's its own issue, but like.
Yeah, our roads. I mean, it seems like there's just a lack of asking questions and being transparent with our construction companies and what's going on. I don't really think that this is that deep. Like, this is just, you know, being more responsible, being on top of it, communicating with people when roads are closing, ensuring that when we are building roads that they're ready for that. I live on Prairie Street, which has been torn up 2-3 times, I don't know, in the last few years. And every time I don't get the notice until like the road's already being ripped up, and it's just like, well, you know, seems to me it's mostly just a lack of a lot of planning.
All right, Mr. Chris, you're up.
Is this time limit with 1 minute?
That's about a minute, and then we'll get into it. Yeah.
Well, you know, Denton's a 100-year-old plus city, and over the years, the voters have approved bond programs. You know, millions, tens of millions of dollars for road construction. Unfortunately, I don't think it's so much. I mean, we've got it. Some of our roads have got to get fixed. I think it's the planning. I think especially this last year, what you saw in some of these neighborhoods, they tried to cluster these projects really close together in the same geographical area, which that has been the major issue, because then you have large swaths of neighborhoods that have construction. I mean, when I tried to go to one of our first forums, I couldn't even get there off of Oak Street because I had to do a real big wraparound. So I think we have to be more intentional about how we do our construction planning, because if we quit doing the construction, we're going to say the roads are terrible. So we've got to make sure, communication is the key. Communication, you got to communicate with the neighbors. Yep.
We like talking, we don't like the follow through. Angela?
Seems to be a theme tonight. Like the talk and not the follow through. So when I'm out talking with voters out on the street and knocking on doors and visiting with people on the square, our roads are the thing that come up most often after why do we have so many apartments. Why do we have so many apartments is first, but roads is a very close second. And why are they just so, not just the ones that are under construction, but the ones that aren't under construction that are also bad. And so it's almost like a catch-22, because it's like, I don't want the construction, but then we also need more construction. So what do we do? That's the question. This isn't just inconvenience, and it causes problems for my car, and it's uncomfortable. That's not the only problem. There are some real safety issues involved when we have all these construction cones set up. I live off of Kings Road in Sherman, and I go on Kings Road trying to turn left onto Sherman. They've now got one lane of Sherman shut, and so now there's only one lane of Sherman where traffic can come. So trying to turn off of it's insane. We get this over and over and over again, where the construction is creating safety problems, not just lifestyle problems. So we have to get a better plan. Dang, I'm glad we got 20 minutes of discussion.
That's what this is for.
Yeah, Chris alluded to this a second ago, and there is one of the things that happened early on, and when I came on the council, you're trying to explore these issues of the roads, and they try to be fiduciarily responsible. They try to put in contracts that by bundling them all together, it saved taxpayer dollars. They were trying not to have those costs run up, but they siloed. They didn't communicate with each other in utilities and streets in these different areas that all go together, and it ended up the disruptive opportunity costs of lives, of wrong way signs, of miscommunication, of people not knowing where their driveway is going to be torn up one day to the next, and not knowing how to get from one path another to the city wasn't worth anything that we saved in bundling and cost. So that kind of thing can't continue going forward, and I'm pretty confident that the current city staff have learned their lesson on that one. But communications in silos, especially with the citizens of Denton, that's critical.
So that's actually interesting, because what you'll find around the city is, not in all places, but take Sunset, for example, and all those businesses that were closed down. That was a whole, I covered on it was a whole thing. And even the Green Zatar, they were like, it's not the city, but the construction company bit off a little more than they could chew. What are some levers that, were you to get elected, we can hold these people to account to get them to play ball with our neighbors here?
Yeah, no, it's. I'm glad you brought that up, because it's one of the things that we can't have. We saw Green Zatar, we saw various businesses on set, and we saw Denton County, not Denton County Hamburger. They had a different name. County Road Hamburger.
Yeah, they changed.
It's going to be hard for me to switch gears on that one. We saw them, come to us and say, these impacts are killing us, And it wasn't just that, the neighbors couldn't get in and out of that neighbor on Alice Street area as well. And again, this goes back to we need to make sure that our CMAR process, this is the construction manager at risk, is held to those risk profiles in ways that make sure that they stay timely and the cost incrementally skyrocket when they increase their prices. And we need to hold feet to the fire. And it wasn't just the construction timelines. We've seen where some of the things that contributed to what is perceived as construction woes is actually failures of asphalt, because we had bad mixes from some of our vendors that would come in, and they had to come back to the same location at Idiot's Hill and Denia in Southridge and other places where they were doing patches and had to redo it 16 months later because they failed our contracts. We need to do a better job of vetting our vendors.
I mean, that's kind of what we'll probably keep hearing tonight, is we need to do a better job, but why haven't we been doing that? Like, is it a bureaucracy? Is it built into the system where, like, if these businesses are closed for a year, it seems like 6 months into that, you'd be like, okay, can we actually do something about this? Like, what can we do about that?
Well, I think one thing we can do, and in one of the forums I said that, especially for small businesses, we don't really have an organization like we have the Economic Development Partnership Board that sort of takes care of your big economic development items, your big companies. We don't have anything that really gives us what the temperature is, what the environment is for small businesses, and we need to create a small business economic roundtable or council. And what we can do there is, how can we craft policies? Maybe we can craft some policies where when we bid out these contracts, we put in the contracts, you have so much time, and if there's a disruption, if you're cutting traffic to businesses with some kind of predetermined standard, I mean, this is all up in the air, this is all able to be negotiated, but we have to have some way to compensate or to provide some kind of economic assistance when you have something like that on Sunset that basically almost shuts people down, and people just throw their hands up and they start pointing fingers. That's why we have to make sure that we stay accountable and that we hold our contractors accountable. And you can build those standards in. That might reduce the amount of people who bid, but you're going to get bids. Just one not funny story. Well, number one, I have cracked a rim, driving down the road. I mean,
who hasn't?
A lot of people have. Mm-hmm. But I was sitting one time watching them pave a road out in front of the Denton Central Appraisal District. They laid down about 200 or 300 feet of asphalt, and then here comes a little backhoe, a little skid steer, pulling it all back up. I said, why? I asked the guy, I said, why are you doing that? He said, well, because we have gear that, the equipment can tell you how thick it has to be, and it wasn't thick enough. And instead of coming in and trying to overlay it, it's cheap. And I thought, okay, we have to make sure that everybody's doing their best to be as efficient as possible. And we as a city and as city leaders can find a way that we might not be able to install penalties on contractors, but if it's a business that's really struggling, we have to find a way, a creative way to give them assistance, whether it be through vendors' penalties, whether it be through an economic development fund we set up for that specific thing. So, am I going out of time?
No, actually,
okay,
speaking of a not so quick story, do we have the timer that we can get going? I don't know if it's going or if it's just not on the screen, but we'll say we're 5 minutes into it or so. So when it gets to 5, we'll call it.
I appreciate what Chris just had to say. I also, color me shocked, I do agree that we start this construction in these areas where it's all compounded, and that creates all these issues. And I guess what's unfortunate is I feel like repeatedly right now I'm hearing a lot of deflection. I think, there's going to be times when a city council makes mistakes, you don't investigate, you don't do your research when you're looking for your construction company, and you have to own that and you have to take responsibility. And you need to shift gears too, because I know this question was asking how are the roads. I have another question. How are the sidewalks? As someone who walks around downtown, I want to know like Chris was saying, there's all these areas where they're all under construction at the same time, and that impacts the sidewalks too. Right now, I can barely go from Bernard to Hickory to try and come to the Bearded Monk. It's like, if you have some kind of disability, I don't know how you're getting around, and I think it's about being attuned to not just these big impacts, but these small ones as well.
Shannon, thanks for saying that, because the sidewalks are an integral part of what we're doing with roads and bike lanes, right? So when we think about all of the traffic and how we need our roads to be bigger and more because we have so many cars, we should also be looking at ways we can get some of those cars off of the streets, right? Why do we need to have so many cars, so much traffic, when we could do planning that would increase bike lanes, increase sidewalk access, so people can bike, people can use their scooters, people with disabilities or people who need to use wheels to get around, people pushing strollers, right, who need to get down the sidewalk so that they can get their business done, get life taken care of, or just come have a beer at the Monk, right? Get a good drink. A couple of things that I want to say just as like practical, what we need to do, actual
we
things
like practical.
we need to do. I heard Brian saying that they were siloed, like the utilities weren't talking to the water and sewage, weren't talking to the road construction folks. That shouldn't be happening, right? Like there's no reason for that to happen. There should be, I just wrote my note was Department of Homeland Security. I'll remember back in the days, they figured out that different departments weren't talking to each other, and it created some really serious problems. And so they created a department that then brought everyone together to solve those problems so that there was better communication and collaboration on projects. So why don't we have kind of a standing committee of folks from each of these departments that work on infrastructure coming together on the regular to figure this out, right? That to make sure that we don't have a lack of coordination. A lack of coordination is just because nobody took care of it, right? It's not that we didn't know we should be coordinated. I also really am puzzled by the idea that people said, let's bundle these road projects together and do one neighborhood at a time. And nobody saw that that was a problem? Like, are you kidding me right now? No one looked at that and said, hey, maybe not. Maybe don't shut down half the streets in a single neighborhood all at the same time. We could have gotten some of those same bundling deals and the benefits of those by doing a project in one part of the city, another part of the city, and another part of the city, and not doing multiple streets in one neighborhood at a time. So I think sometimes there are just these very practical solutions in place that aren't coming through with our current leadership. I don't know why. These seem like very obvious, very like low-hanging fruit on how to make life better for folks in Denton, and I don't know why it hasn't been done.
Well, I can't speak for the last 3 or 4 years, but I do know that
this isn't a new problem.
One of these things we put in place was, I don't know what happened over in the Amarillo, Oak Street, Panhandle, over there, but I do know at least I was aware that what we were doing was we were tearing up streets, putting down new pavement. Then they were tearing up to go replace the water lines and the sewer lines and those kinds of things. We made a concerted effort, an intentional effort to make sure that we tried to plan and put together teams that would plan that, okay, if we're gonna need this street done, do we need the utilities done at the time? If we needed the utilities, and look, they've been building in front of my house for 3 years because they put in a 52-inch water line. They hit my electrical line 3 times. So I know that it's a lot of planning, and things happen, and we can certainly figure out. When I was teaching the negotiation students, one thing after competition we'd ask is, what if you had this situation to face again, what would you do the same and what would you do differently? Clearly, we got a lot of scar tissue issues. You're talking about, why have they not done this? Well, this might be one of those times where this bundling might have been the first thing. So I'm not going to say that everybody's made all these mistakes, but if we don't learn from our mistakes, that's the biggest mistake. So we can certainly have more conversation around infrastructure development. But Oak Street, got it done. What happened? Atmos Gas figured they did something wrong, I believe. Something was wrong. Yeah, and they had to go dig it back up and replace all the yard lines up to the houses. Sometimes things just happen. They just happen. And I don't like to say that because we'd like to think we could plan it more clearly, but Atmos doesn't even come into this conversation when they've done something wrong, and they're done. We've inspected it, they're finished. Lay the road. All of a sudden, no, we're not done.
I'm glad Chris brought that up. One of the things that they put on when I first got on council was the complete streets approach, and I don't think my council can take credit for that. That happened the previous council at the end of it, and so 2020-ish. That was to do exactly what Chris was saying, do all the electrical fiber, cable, streets, everything. The one standout, and again, Chris mentioned that, is Atmos. They coordinate with us a little bit, but they don't have to coordinate with us the way we've done our complete streets approach. So this idea of building in layers is being done. So that healing, that learning from previous mistakes, that took place over the last few years. I think what happened though when they were trying to do those approaches is all the vendors for a particular type, whether they're talking sewer vendors, not gas, but the electrical, the other things that come in the different layers of the streets that have to go in, the curb construction, they were trying to save money by having their crews all in the same area. But again, it's what I led off with, and you've heard several of us say, is that did not take into account, while that was smart from coordinating those vendors, it did not take into account the disruption in lives and the lack of communication. And even some of that still could have gotten better if we had done something that I've been suggesting for a year or two, and that is just have a simple, something is, Google is 20-ish years old. We've been using calendars and keeping each other connected for decades now. If we just had a push calendar out saying this construction is going to be at this location at this time, then neighbors would at least know, even if it was still in the disruptive mode, and that would help all the other vendors know, hey, listen, we see what we're doing to each other, and help de-silo those things.
While there's still a few minutes left, I would really appreciate if you're on Instagram that you take out your phone right now and follow Abundance Denton. There is a way for people in Denton who are not on council, who are not on boards and committees, to be a part of these conversations. And this is another key piece to all of this as well. And so I really just want to say, if you want to see what we're already out here trying to do, follow Abundance Denton. Thank you.
Yeah, and with the few minutes that we have, 6 minutes, that's not a few, but listen, y'all, we got a lot of people moving to Denton, moving to the area. Big neighborhoods being built, as Price Master would say, 500 million people moving in the next 10 years, whatever. Are we designing the roads, or are the people that we're hiring to design the roads making it sustainable once those people start driving on the roads? Like, what? If we're having an issue now and we don't even have half the people that'll be here in the next, however long.
Right, not too late, but we're already behind.
And not to mention the deficit, which we'll get into later, but how are we going to spin all these plates?
We're not following the comp plan in our development. There's too much of a push from the developers in the state of Texas rules and our own ordinances to allow for sprawl. There's too much turning a blind eye on council. It's been bugging me for 5 years how much we continue to approve sprawl on the edge of town. When the infrastructure that's cheapest is already in the center parts of town, we need to approve those kinds of infill, whether we're talking, it doesn't matter the types of infill. You should go for compatible missing middle income infill because it's more compatible with green space and it's more compatible with existing neighborhoods. But when you put these large neighborhoods and large apartment complexes on the edge of town, then that kind of thing is what allows for the needs for all this infrastructure to come in, and maybe developers pay for it when they first come in and they put the costs in, but within 10 years those costs are then piggybacked on the back of the taxpayers, and it gets more and more and more expensive, and it almost becomes, instead of a growth scheme, it becomes sort of a pyramid scheme. And it's one of the reasons that I couldn't support things like Craver Ranch out below the dam, because it's going to be on the backs of the taxpayers in 10 years, and I couldn't support that.
Well, and I appreciate that. I guess my observation is about 3 weeks ago on City Council, it was approved that that the developer would initially pay for it, which I question that. But the city would oversize the line. that they were going to put water lines and sewer lines beyond our city limits to support a major development out in Ponder, and that the line was oversized so that we could promote and to be ready for when those developments got larger. And this is a policy that has come up recently that we're trying, out 380, there's developments that are 5-10 miles out that we're trying to figure out how do we provide water and sewer out to them. I need to understand that, because when you talk sprawl, I mean, the only thing we're not providing out there is fire and police service. But other than that, I mean, we're extending utilities out there. So no, these big developments are going off on TxDOT roads like 458, going out there. It can't handle it. And you talked about, you said, can the roads handle it? Now you started down a road which, at first I thought you were talking about the actual construction, the maintenance, that
too.
one, but it's also the capacity.
Yeah, for sure.
Do
definitely.
you have the capacity? Are we designing roads to handle the capacity of what's coming in? Arterials, secondary arterials. Carroll Boulevard's as big as it's going to get.
Yep.
University Drive's as big as it's going to get, even though that's TxDOT. We have to ensure that we plan better with our roads as far as when these big developments come in. Craver Ranch, quick story.
You say that.
Going down to a friend's house around Christmas holidays, I called him and said, hey, where's Craver Ranch? I didn't really, because I wasn't involved in it. And I kept driving, and I kept driving, and I kept driving. And I thought, okay, I don't know how they're going to do that. But we're extending those services beyond our city limits. And we're oversizing the line, which we all pay for, to handle the development that's coming in outside of our city. We're building a new wastewater treatment plant to help cover those kinds of wastewater services that we're providing outside of our city limits. I think we need to have a really intentional conversation about that.
So sorry, real fast. I just want to say that I also think that something that could prevent wear and tear on our roads is if we as a community utilized our bus system more, and if we improved our bus system so that it was more accessible to people and that they didn't have to wait so long in order to catch a bus and get where they need to go. Less cars on the road, the longer they last.
And that's an important part. We can bring that up later as well. Yeah, it's a lot of people coming. It's a lot of, we only have a minute and a half left, but there's a lot of people coming. And I went out to Landmark by Hillwood, and obviously, and they're lovely people, you know. They're right next to HEB, lucky SOBs, but
it's HEBs.
HEBs, not SOBs. But look at University, they're building another HEB, and that's just going to be, again, that's TxDOT, but it's just going to be more and more and more traffic. And I don't, it feels like, at least from my perspective and from people that I've spoken to, that we're not looking to the future as we're playing catch up.
I'm going to sound like I'm beating a dead horse, and that's not what I mean to do.
Because we love horses.
Yes, love horses. We have to have community conversation. What does the community of Denton, what do the people here want us to look like as we move forward? What do you want the city to be? Do you want us to keep growing streets bigger and wider? What about building really strong neighborhood plans so that instead of trying to get all over Denton, you have everything you need in your part of town? Is that a strategy maybe we want to approach? Are there other strategies out there that we can have that gives us a real clear vision for where we're trying to go as a community and what we want to look like? We can't build enough roads in our current layout to suck in all of the capacity or suck in all of the folks who are coming. Right? We don't have enough space like this to absorb people that way.
Sure.
On our current streets. So we have to start thinking about different ways to approach this problem.
But yeah, no, for sure. And that's actually having a view of the future of what's coming. That leads into, that's a perfect segue, Angela, into our next topic. Hit it, Dean.
Why do you look so anxious? No, I'm just I'm anxious that the progress that certain departments have made could be halted, and just a little fearful of what an all-new council could bring. Plus, a new city manager, are they experienced? Are they not? All of that change is scary. I mean, well, it all can't be so bad. What are you excited about with the upcoming election? Well, not much, honestly. I mean, the slate is weak. Maybe I'm excited about new blood in the mix, new council members, people that have never been there before. As far as the mayor goes, maybe the two that have been on council before will lead us in the right direction. I don't know. Well, I mean, what do you think the city of Denton could do better? Hold the executive level positions to the same standard as middle management? Sometimes it feels like we're just workhorses and aren't respected. They could value staff more. They could fix fucking roads. Maybe not start a new project until you've finished another one. Well, you seem like you've got it figured out. What would you change? What about the culture at the city of Denton would you change? Well, for starters, the entire upper management of the city needs to be replaced. They don't value staff. They blame the past for everything. And to be honest, it's almost like we need to build it all again from the ground up. Okay, I can't keep talking about the city of Denton, honestly. It's boring. Anything else you want to say before we move on? Well, Denton used to be a place I was proud to work at. I felt like I was making a difference in my hometown. Now I just keep my head down until another opportunity pops up.
No, live TV, guys. Sorry about that.
Do it in post.
Yeah, do it in post, which we will. Okay, so we put out an anonymous survey for city staffers a few months ago leading up to this. And we actually have a unique opportunity here because we have two people that have been in the system before and two people from the outside of the system a little bit to speak to this specifically, and we'll broaden it out, of course. City staff morale for those that submitted, and I understand it's anecdotal, okay? But I've heard this enough, and also I've heard from other cities that if you want to work in city government, avoid Denton. Why is that, and were you to get in, what could you do about it? We did it, Chris.
As you get Mario coming in? Okay. And this is the 1 minute lightning round, is that right?
Lightning round, and then we'll actually get into it.
Over the last 4 or 5 years, look, we've seen it on the council that there's been a culture on the council that's kind of been divisive and dysfunctional. And you can't have that at that level and it not permeate down to the city manager's executive staff. I mean, you've got to be able to create a team and have teamwork. And when I was mayor from 14 to 20, we worked well with staff. Doesn't mean you didn't have disagreements, doesn't mean that you didn't have times where you had to really, state your case, but you were respectable, you were professional, and you spoke with integrity, and you tried to but we've got to change the culture. Now, I'm running, and I believe that I can do that day one, because I know most of the people there. I have a great working relationship with staff, because if you don't have staff supporting you, and I'm not saying agreeing with you, but on the same team, you've got some issues, some really difficult issues.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
I think it was polite of Chris to say there's kind of been a problem on our current council.
He said it's not a brawl.
It's not a brawl. I'm ready to brawl on this question.
Honestly, we want an open conversation.
I'm ready to brawl on this question because our city staff is the heart of what makes Denton function. It is because of the work those people do every single day on behalf of all of us in this community. That's why we get to have Denton. It's those folks. And the notion that they feel unwelcome, unappreciated, unsupported, that they feel like there is no direction, that they feel bullied in their jobs is absolutely unacceptable from anyone in a leadership role in our city. absolutely unacceptable. It's not kind of a problem. It is a huge problem, and it's a big part of why I decided to run for mayor. That we have to put respect and appreciation for our staff first. That has to be a priority for our city council, and we have to appreciate the hierarchy that exists, that the council works for the people, and then the city manager works directly for us. We don't go and speak to individual staffers as elected officials.
Mr. Bryan?
You know, I'm going to pick up right from there. I really appreciate this topic, and I think one of the things that we need to be aware of is we absolutely, our bosses are the people, and it is our job to provide oversight. We have experts on staff, and but they don't always necessarily grok or understand the will of the people. In fact, 2 or 3 of the other items that we were talking about is how are we losing track of silos? How are we this? How are we that? Where we're not communicating. So a fundamental role of the people and of the council is to make sure that there's two-way communication between city manager, staff. Now, one of the things that the councils that I've been a member of, for the most part, that they only communicate with the city manager's office. And so I think there's a real opportunity coming in with the new city manager to establish a new paradigm for expectations and set this tone and measured quality so that we set the kind of culture that we want at the city and yet still provide the oversight. I won't apologize for working for the people of Denton. And the last thing I'll say.
I got you.
All right, you can cover
Well,
that.
you're right. We'll get into an open conversation here soon.
Well, I'm not getting that back.
So in campaigning, I have always tried to be clear that not only am I an open book to you, you are welcome to be an open book to me. And if I am on the dais in that mayor's seat, it doesn't end there. And that includes city staff. My whole life, I've been in service-oriented, frontline-facing roles, making not very much money. And I never want anyone to feel that because maybe they feel like they're the lowest rung on the ladder, that being able to have conversations and share ideas is something that's unattainable. As your mayor, I'm willing to listen to anyone, and that includes city staff, and that includes fostering and cultivating and encouraging city staff to be invested in the city that they're serving. And so, yeah, that's it.
That's great. And I think what was so tragic about the answers I got, and there were a lot more than were in the video, was the final one was something along the lines of, Denton used to be a place that I was proud to work for. Now I just keep my head down and wait for the next opportunity. That's, one would look at Denton, we're a college town, we're creative, we got beautiful arts, and yet we keep hearing this. And this is not a new issue. I mean, I know there with representative of the current council, there's an issue, but I don't want it to be all focused on Mr. Beck here, because we've been seeing this. I mean, heck, y'all have seen in Denton politics. Look at Dangerous Deb. You know, it's been getting more and more toxic and more slimy.
Old boys club. It's been getting old boys club. It's been an old boys club for as long as I can remember, and it's time for something new. I go into so many spaces, and I've been going into them for the last 6 months, talking about leading this city in a different direction. And I talk to women business owners and solopreneurs, so women who are their only employee in their business over at Stoke. I'm a part of a women's networking group. I go to Pilates class. Everywhere I go, I hear people say, you know, Denton, it's just an old boys network. Like, it's the same thing, both in our business environment and in our political environment. I faced it head on last year. A year ago, a group of men in this community came to me and said, hey, Brian or Brandon's going to run for mayor. Will you run for whichever seat was left open that they abandoned to run for mayor? Will you do that? And I'm like, who decided they were going to run for mayor? Well, I found out a group of men, Brian and Brandon and Paul, decided that one of them was going to be our candidate for mayor. We have got an old boys club in this town that has got to come to an end. I'm done with it. I'm done with it. That's why I ran for mayor this year. That is the number one thing that drove me into this race. absolutely devastates me that people from outside of my community will talk about my community as being an old boys club. That people can't, that if you have a difference of an opinion, or if you're not a part of the Chamber of Commerce, or you don't have a buddy over on the city council, you can't ever be really integrated into the community and get anything done in the community. That's ridiculous. Like, this is a community of, like I've said before, like people with huge hearts and real interest in being involved and engaged and being present here. And we can't continue to manage our city with this old boys club culture. We've got to do something new. And I'm gonna ask Brian a really tough question. The rumor's been going around on Facebook. I asked him in a video the other day that there's been a complaint against you from a city staffer who said you came to her office and told her she should be ashamed of herself for coming and giving testimony against another one of your friends on the city council. You've yet to talk about it, and this news has been out there for a long time, Brian. Like, I don't know why you haven't answered it. I don't know why you haven't said it's true, not true, why it happened if it did happen. Like, I would really love to know.
I'll jump in here because obviously we're just going to stare at me until.
Well, I did ask you a direct question, so it'd be a good time to jump in.
No, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why I mostly give this no oxygen, and that is when someone accuses you of something that is false and defamatory, you initially say, "Hey, yeah, no, I'm not kicking kittens. That's not something that I do. So no, I don't kick kittens." So when someone continues to say, "Well, why are you kicking kittens? Why are you kicking kittens?" You don't give that any oxygen. You don't give that any air. You go, "Okay, this is not a thing that's happened." So the entire circumstances behind that are not real. That is not true. It has been looked into. Not only were the original allegations against the council member found to be without merit, and that council member was exonerated, and people were trusted, and they were looked at, and it was investigated by third-party folks, but that was found not to be true. I didn't even learn about that investigation until after the fact, and so I could not have been putting my thumb on the scale and bullying people and talking about that. So I am categorically denying that happened at all. It is defamatory to keep accusing me of an action that didn't happen. There was an accusation, and what do you do when someone throws mud at the wall? You say that's not true, you move on.
Can I? Please, yeah, please, Chris. And also, if we can take a breath.
Bullshit.
I guess I'm a little curious about some things. I'm aware of the situation that you're talking about, and I'm aware of some other situations, and I mean, I can go into that. I guess though, I'm also aware, Angela, that because I watched your video, and when you were talking about the meeting, I guess you were in with them, and I know one of your donors was there, and I don't know what happened in the meeting. I have no idea what was going on or what was going on and discussed. So I'm not quite sure where that comes from, but I've not really been wanting to say this, but because somebody sent me a Facebook post that you did about a year ago in January, that's one of the most divisive, intolerant posts I think I'm not on Facebook that much, so I don't see that much. So I agree with you that we need to bring, I'm not going to necessarily go into that right now.
I don't want to get into anything.
No, that's what I'm saying. But I'm just saying that, so I agree that we have to bring a different culture to the council. We have to bring a different culture to the council. And I've been disappointed at the stories that I mean, honestly, I've been in the room. I don't know. I've been in the room when when you have almost accosted the city manager about going back to her office. I mean, I was in there and watched. So all I'm saying is, when I get elected, when I was on council as mayor, we didn't have those problems. Didn't mean we didn't have disagreements, but we had to fire a city manager. I had to fire a city manager. I was the deciding vote because I knew we had to make a change. And then we hired another city manager. So I bring that experienced leadership that has got a track record. And when I'm elected day one, that culture changes because the people know me. The people know how I work. There's no guesswork. There's no trying to figure out what am I going to do, how am I going to treat people, how am I going to not include the community, but include the community. So And the voters get to decide. The voters get to decide. And it has been disappointing that the culture that I've seen, because I hear the stories and I see the ramification of those stories, and it's been terrible. I mean, that's why staff is hard pressed sometimes to bring some things to council, because it's just been, and I've got to say, because I've done it before, there's some council members that have been elected in the last year or two that I'm excluding them from these comments because they don't bring that to the council. They bring something different. So I think we're on our way of changing that, but it has paralyzed governance for the last 5 years. I mean, not much has been done, and we see it in our increased taxes. We see it in our increased utilities. We see it in how we're trying to meet the needs of the homeless. It's just the proliferation of apartments. I hope you have
Chris,
a question about that.
I'm gonna cut you off here.
Okay, that's fine. If we're going to talk about that, I want to talk about that.
If we could get the timer going there.
Yeah, sorry.
I mean, it's been going.
My second grade teacher says I talk too much.
Yeah, well, she's right.
They
No, I
usually are in
appreciate
the
it.
second
No,
grade.
I'm good.
And if we could, I don't know, throw a time in there. Shannon, do you have anything?
Sure. I would just say that, like, right now, man, I really wish I wasn't, but across the table, I'm just hearing a lot of elitism and ego. And so maybe this isn't like the best parallel to make, but there's a song by a really famous woman that I really love. And in that song, she says, "When everyone believes you, what is that like? I'm so sick of running as fast as I can, wondering if I could get there quicker if I was a man." And I'm really upset right now because there's all these elitist cycles. It's not just men. It's not just men. There are women that are a part of these cycles too, these circles. And that's a problem, right? We get into these little circles and silos, and we lose the priority. We lose the priority, which is the vulnerable working people in Denton. And don't get me wrong, sexual harassment, sexual assault, that is never okay, and it should always be centered and trauma-informed when addressed, and there should be solutions to these issues when they are reported to council, and that comes down to making sure that we have an adequate ethics ordinance in place, which I am so shocked to not hear any of these people with political experience talk about. How are y'all not angry?
Right.
How are you not angry?
Right. And not just an ethics ordinance in place. One of the problems we have is that if you're going to file an ethics complaint against a member of the city council, you have to publicize your name. You cannot do it anonymously. There needs to be a different method. We cannot expect people who are working hard for our city every day, who have to pay their mortgage, who need to put food on their table, to go and put their job on the line in order to point out the wrongdoing of someone in our city council. We can't expect them to do that. That is absolutely impossible, right? So there are systems, and there are a lot of cities that use it, where they have an ombudsman, right? You get an ombudsman who goes in and reviews the complaint. When they find validity to the complaint, they then file the complaint on behalf of the person who is being the whistleblower, so that the whistleblower's name doesn't have to be publicized. So it's a way to work within our current ethics program or project without having to change that. I know we worked really hard on that for a long time to get to our current set of ethics, but there isn't. So we don't have to alter that, right? We could get a workaround so that people who need to do whistleblowing have some protection from any kind of retribution that they might experience from members of the council.
And this is why, because the anonymous complaint that was made was the first one that was made an anonymous complaint against a council member. And there was no adequate process to deal with it. It went to the city auditor, who then made a finding that no, you can't have this. You've got to file that complaint under the procedure of the ethics code, which then would require breaking anonymity. So it was flawed. I mean, we certainly have to find either an investigator or a law firm or something outside of the city. We can create that to specifically handle complaints against council members, because there was no way to do it. And the way that it was handled was just kind of, so it wasn't, the complaint wasn't dismissed because it was unfounded. The language was, it was abandoned because the person who made the complaint, the anonymous person who made the complaint, was not willing
to file it under the rubrics of the ethics code because they weren't going to do it. So it wasn't that it was it was abandoned is what the language was. And that's when we realized you've got to have a separate procedure to do that. You've got to take it outside of the city. Now, one person said to me, well, that's going to cost a lot of money. Who cares? I mean, if someone's making a complaint, because let's face it, as a council member, we have power. We intimidate. I mean, you can't go into somebody's office and talk to them like that. You can't abuse people in front of their subordinates. So it was an unfortunate situation, and we had no way adequately to deal with it. And it's unfortunate that we didn't. And because we just thought all people are subject to this ethics code, and it was the component of the anonymous complaint. Because anybody can file a complaint under the ethics code. It's when you file it anonymously, you have to maintain that anonymity. You cannot expect to have investigations without, having people reveal who they are. I mean, that creates that even makes it worse. That power imbalance even just gets exacerbated. So certainly, as mayor, that is one of my main issues. Is we have to find an alternative methodology that means going outside. The fox can't guard the hen house. I mean, you can't do that. So
are there, forgive my ignorance, because I don't look too much into other cities' specific policies regarding this, but I'm sure in businesses, I'm sure in other cities and other places, there are other ways of doing it. So why?
Why do we not have it?
Is it the good old boys club? I mean, we're growing so quickly.
I think the ladies at the table might disagree with you that it's not the good old boys.
Well, kind of like you said, regardless of good old boys club or not, we're growing so rapidly as well that there might be just these issues that come up that we haven't figured out.
We're not a small little college town
not anymore.
And we have to stop acting like one. That we have serious business to do in our city, and we need a new direction in order to do that. It's time to clear house. It is time to clear house. That the way we've been doing business in the city for 20 years is done. I mean, it really is this system of who do you know, that Chris says he can walk in on day one and be buddies with everybody because he knows everybody. He's already well connected, and I can walk right in and they know exactly what they're getting. That isn't the best way to do things. We should actually create new relationships where we're all starting on even ground, right? Coming together to create the future for the city that we want, not coming with the residue of past coming forward. We've got to change things.
So the ethics code was created by a charter review committee. They said, hey, let's do that. And then the ethics code was created by community input and also the council. So, I mean, look, we can go into all this about good old boys and all that. Sure. That's okay.
I'm just curious about how it was actually created.
Yeah, that's how. I mean, there was a charter committee that people were appointed by the council. You were appointed to the charter review committee just last a couple of summers ago. Brian appointed you.
See,
so
we're all a happy family.
No, it's just. I mean,
those were some fun meetings.
So
too. I forgot to thank you for that, Brian.
I will not defend myself to say that when I know people professionally and we treat each other with respect and we know what we can expect and we know that I'm going to come in. So if they want someone new that they don't know to create new relationships, that's fine. But to say that somehow it's a good old boy network because we've worked hard to establish good relationships, good working relationships with people. And I've been doing that with an organization that has 2,000 employees. So, I mean, you can interpret it as you want, but we have to have a different, I'm going to come back to the original point. We have to have a methodology to handle anonymous complaints with council members.
I need to jump off right here too, because the anonymous process that we have right now, the Lighthouse software process, anyone in the entire city can make that complaint. Could be staff, could be council, could be political appointees, whoever. Anyone on council or anyone in the city operations can make any sort of complaint they want. All right, and so one of the things that comes in is things can be weaponized over and over and over, regardless of merit, regardless of standing, regardless of facts. There is a culture on council of one person. I'm just going to say it here. The rest of council gets along. Jesse Davis and I got along, Joe Holland and I get along, Jill Jester and I get along, Paul Meltzer and I got along. But there is a history of folks that don't get along. And it's absolutely true that does tend to taint the process.
Sure.
All right. So we just had a forum the other day where I said one of my favorite parts on council is the dinner between the work session and the evening, because we just bond together as fellow people trying to serve our city, and those people get along. All right. Every single one of those people get along. So there is, unfortunately, there's been 6 years, and even to a little bit, I'm sorry, Chris, but even a little bit before then, there's times. One of the reasons I ran is I watched the way that the council under your control managed Deb Armentor, Keely Briggs, and Paul Meltzer. It wasn't done respectfully. And there were times then the meeting had to pause. All right, and so it's really important that we bring a culture of listening to the community and not shutting people down. I absolutely concur with that. And you can make astonished faces all you want to, but when those same elements in the society turn around and then say, "Oh, I'm going to weaponize this to make complaints, specious ones, because I already know how it's done," then that's what you run into.
Brian, with all due respect, I mean, you know.
Is this a bless your heart? All due respect?
I don't know, but okay. I mean.
And we are out of time, so I'll let you finish, or you can. Okay.
Okay.
We got a commercial break in front of us.
For all I know is when you say everybody gets along, you were screaming at Jesse Davis and I after a closed session, a legal closed session item, and so when you made that statement in that forum, when you said everybody gets along, I don't know if you were looking out among the audience, but the look on people's faces was just utter disbelief. So, you know, I really beg to differ with you on that, but I'm out of time.
You're out of time, and it is a little unfair to throw that last jab in, I'll say that. But we do have a 90-second commercial break ahead of us, and then we will get into a fun mini game, guys. We'll get back to fun, and then we'll get into some regular council questions. So let's hit that second commercial break.
Terrible.
You can sign in. We've got, I think we're mutuals. Hi, I'm Priscilla. It's a lesbian social club that I started for lesbians to connect with other lesbians and sapphic people so that we can have our own little space. Lesbianism is really unique in that it's the only sexuality that has nothing to do with men. Whenever you're in a lesbian-only space, it creates a whole new understanding of yourself and gender.
Welcome back, everybody. If we could have a seat, please. Sorry for screaming into this microphone. Good? Okay. All right. Welcome back, everybody. That was a lively conversation. I appreciate you guys staying in your chairs. let's move on to our first our second mini game. Do you want to hit the intro to the mini game? It's called Beard Pong.
Beard pong.
Because we're at the Bearded Monk.
Excellent.
I have a little bit of an advantage.
Yeah, there you go. Maybe may see a little more aerodynamic. Okay, well, we don't have the intro. It didn't download, so
okay.
I'll explain the rules to you guys. We have 8 people running for city council in an actual contest. Jill Jester, but she's uncontested. I asked each of them to ask you guys a question at the table.
Okay.
So, hopefully you guys have good aim. And if not, we have some extras. And whoever it lands in will be the one that asks the question. Hopefully the speakers are working this time. So,
But you do have the text.
we have the text of the questions as well in the video if the speakers are not working. So,
Okay. Take them all and pass it around.
Yeah, take it all.
It's Angela's turn, isn't it?
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, that's right. And then we'll start with Angela. And if we have extras as well.
Bounce and hit, or can I just directly
toss it in.
Okay.
Just toss it in.
This might lose me votes.
All right.
I'm not what you call.
Hey, if you want,
I was going to say, that's exactly what I'm going to
One right there.
All right.
Oh, I just saw Robert's. I want his.
This is an interesting one to choose, okay?
Yeah.
This is Michael Heron. This is his question.
do. Oh, so
Michael.
he's going to show up here.
It's going to show up there. God willing. One moment, guys. Live TV.
Okay. Do you have it written down?
I have it. I know what it is, but actually, you know what? While he gets that queued up, why don't we just go around? We'll choose the others, and then we'll just queue it up. That would be Caleb Meese. All right.
Knocked it over. Count it.
That'll be Erica Garland.
Oh, nice.
Close enough. And that'll be Robert J. Archer III. So, thank you. Did we find Michael Heron's question? We're queuing it up.
Yes, I'm ready when you are.
Hit it.
So my question for the mayors. I really don't have one. I mean, if I come up with one later, because I hadn't thought about it, to be honest.
So this is probably the only time we'll be able to do this in terms of our schedule. I don't know who.
Here, right here.
All right, here.
From the floor.
Yeah, come up. Let me put this microphone on you. Here, I guess have a seat. Get in the light. Okay. You don't have to sit there the whole time. Okay. Introduce yourself and introduce your question.
My name is Michael McCormick. I am the president of Wind River Homeowners Association. In July of last year, a construction company hit a sewage line, pumped 60,000 gallons of sewage into our ponds, killing one of them and contaminating 2 of them.
Yeah.
And we've gotten absolutely nothing from City Council, nothing from the former mayor, current mayor, whatever. What are you going to do to help homeowners in a situation like this? We are existing homeowners that have been around for a long time. We're stuck. We went to court Monday. They showed up with 3 lawyers for about a $200,000 issue. What would you do to help us?
What was your name?
Michael McCormick.
Michael, nice to meet you. Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
I live on your street. Okay, So since we have a few different questions lined up, that will we'll just spend 5 minutes or so on this, and we'll just get straight. Let me set the timer, and then we'll just get straight into open discussion. All right, y'all.
I've actually been communicating with Michael Gagne and others on staff about this exact issue. So I'm sorry, Mike, that you feel uncontacted. But I have been talking with members of the community. I have been talking with Michael Gagne. I've been trying to get the city to take steps to make sure that the kind of testing that would back up lawsuits. So to some degree, it is the HO. There's a little bit of a quandary between it's the HOA and the neighborhood having to civilly sue against these developers, and it's just sort of some of the structure. But where the city can help the neighbors is a couple of regards. One, we can provide the backup resources, testing, and materials to have that available so that those kinds of things can be more facile and easier for our neighbors to get most advantage of situations like that. And the other thing that's happening, there's a number of waterways where there's been bad actors of the owner of the waterways creating problems for neighborhoods. We have one up at Hercules at the Sherman Crossing Pond. We've got the one Wind River, and there's an opportunity where there's not substantial park fees, sustainability or tree fund by themselves to create a crisis in a box response thing. But one of the things you'll see, some of the neighbors coming up from the Sherman Crossing area have been working with me and others to put together this idea of a crisis response in a box, to where we can have the potential to have opportunities to combine small pools of money to respond to neighbors, so that these kinds of things can work with the actual owners and create a responsible, environmental, sustainably path forward for folks that encounter these kind of environmental difficulties. And I think it's the only way to respond to the community like that. You can't be dumping sewage
You're welcome to.
into the ponds.
Well, do we get a chance to answer that?
Yeah, no, yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
Okay.
We only have 5 minutes,
Okay.
so but
Yeah.
but since he's currently on council dealing with that, I
Okay,
wanted to.
sure, okay. Go ahead.
I met Mike at the Denia Forum, and he told me about this problem they were experiencing. It's now Good Friday, and Mike is at another forum, and I've heard him say twice now that he feels unheard, that he has reached out to the city council over and over and over again. I think he told me 11 times, 11 emails.
I've emailed everyone from city council and have received 0 response.
Yeah. So, and here's what I want to say.
Homeowners that have sent me emails, copying me on them, that have sent them to city council and have received 0 response.
Right. And this is a group of folks who are doing it the way we're told it's supposed to work, right? Yeah. They have an HOA. They've come together in their neighborhood and community. They've organized. They've reached out to the people who they think should be able to support and help them, and they hear crickets. Right? This isn't the only neighborhood this has happened to. This is happening all over Denton, and it's been going on for years. This community feels overwhelmingly that no one's listening to them. Like, to the point where I hear people say, why should I even go vote? Like, why am I voting? City council already has their minds made up. They're gonna do what they're gonna do. What we have to say doesn't even matter. And I die inside every time I hear that, because I'm a civics nerd.
Just because we're almost out of time.
Yep. Sorry, Chris.
Mike, I can understand your situation. What happened with some families that were behind a apartment construction project that got flooded, they came to the council and said, hey, we need to have something done. I'm not on council. I immediately called the city manager, said somebody needs to stop work order on this. They need to stop work on this project. Because I think you said this was apartment building being in construction. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
They
should
issued a stop order, and then it was lifted within a month.
Okay, that's the problem. Because that's one of the primary levers and leverage that the city has. Because they pulled a permit, they hit a sewer line, they've created an environmental toxic situation, and the city should have used that leverage. Now, I don't know all the facts, I'll be honest with you. I don't know the facts, but I can tell you right now, I would act the same way with your situation and your neighborhood's problem that I did with the people who got flooded. Called her immediately, began to give her suggestions how to deal with the developer, and we're finally finding a pathway to figure out. For them, it's just monetary compensation because of the flooding. For you all, it's a lot more involved. It's cleaning up the pond. It's making sure that they pay for that type of cleanup and to pay the damages that have happened in your neighborhood. So I don't know what's happened as far as the facts. All I know is I have served a lot, but what I've done primarily is when people are in a problem and they need some help and solutions, that's what I try to do. It doesn't mean I'm always perfect, but the city has to use the leverage that they have. You know what the most important word, hold on, the most important word the city has? They can always say no. It's 2 letters, that's it. No, we're not going to give you. We're not going to lift that stop order. And then people start coming to, I'm sorry that you've experienced that. I'm really sorry for that.
Shannon, did you want to?
Yeah,
We're a little flexible with the time, but.
Along with Chris, I also don't know all of the facts, but what I can tell you is I have common sense and I can recognize that these development companies don't care about your community or the wildlife that they're building on. And there is no reason that city council should not be communicating and pushing back against these development companies directly. And if I was your mayor, that's exactly where I'd start. And it does take community input. It takes coming together, collaboration, organizing, and I want to be the person that leads that charge.
Yes. Okay. We can't just choose between applause or snaps. I mean, I like both of them, but anyway. Okay, let's go on to Caleb Meese. Maybe.
My question to you is, how would you? Hold on. I'm sorry. Let me think how to word this. Oh, okay. Yeah, I got it. That wasn't easy. Okay. My question to you is, how would you include the younger generations whenever you're thinking about Denton?
I mean, pretty straightforward, y'all.
Y'all want me to go first?
Yeah.
Yeah, I am a younger generation, and I'm up here because I have seen millennials run for mayor and win. And why did they win? Because they wanted to do right by people, because they have an abundance of compassion and care, and they center their communities first, not their ideologies, not their religion, not their political parties. They center people, regardless of their backgrounds. And how am I doing that? I'm involved right now. I am involved in so many different groups in Denton whose initiatives are led by people younger than me. And I recognize as a mentor for college students that I have so much to learn from anyone of any age, and that's how I pull people in. I create ideas that involve young people and I bring them into it. And this isn't hard. This is also not that deep either. It just starts with caring. It starts with showing the young people in our community that they can have a leader and a job like this can be attainable to them.
Yes.
Get it.
Anyone?
Yeah, I'll go.
Young people.
You know, when I served before, we had a program called the Mayor's Summer Youth Job Program, where we would invite high schoolers and young people to come and interview, and they would basically have internships in the different departments in the city to learn more about what are we doing here, what are we doing there. We can also continue to include anyone, young people, older people, that on boards and commissions, to really invite them to come, you know, participate. So, but unfortunately, the Mayor's Summer Youth Job Program sort of got canceled somewhere down the line. I'm not sure what that happened there, but we can include we can include people, young people, to do that. I've got young people involved in my campaign, you know, because they want to learn about what's happening in Denton. I think what's really the sad part is I think they've quit teaching civics in some of the more
they quit teaching that a long time ago.
Did you read my notes?
No. So I think in some ways people just don't understand really the process and not how to get involved. So we can certainly improve the opportunity to help younger people to come in, but you know we've continued to do this. And, so yeah, I think that's sort of what I was able to do then, and that's what we've been able to do moving forward, and we can continue to do that and build upon that. Absolutely.
Shannon, you were gesticulating wildly. You want to?
Sorry, it's just like, obviously I know how to do this. I wouldn't be sitting here right now. That it takes just showing people that if you try, you can. And I guess I am so sorry. I told myself I wouldn't do this, but I'm so frustrated because if you were living in Denton, can I get a show of hands if you were living in Denton during COVID? Okay, cool. Do y'all leave your hand up if you remember the Black Lives Matter protests? Yeah. Leave your hand up if you remember who installed curfews during that time. Yeah. And we had to be home at a certain time, and we weren't supposed to, as youth, feel like we could show up and support our communities.
Thank you, Shannon. Thank you.
Brian, anything?
Yeah, no, I think this is a clearly a college town oriented on folks at currently Shannon's age. I think it's really important that we continue those sorts of paradigms through into all levels of civil government and boards and commissions. I go out of my way to try to find young people because you want to make sure you don't get the same continuing ideas, and you want to mix and freshen the pot and get new perspectives, new ideas, especially on people that are straight out of college and have been studying this, and you then get that mix of experience and fresh ideas. It's really important, and I carry that through all the kinds of things that I do. Most of my campaign staff are under 28. Most of them are women, and so it's an opportunity. It's saying that can you provide opportunities and pathways forward, whether it's youth councils that still exist in some of the various service organizations that I've been working on for several years. I won't name drop, but there are youth councils that are big on. And well, I'm not so sure that service organization would want me to name drop. So
and we don't have the time anyway.
Yeah.
But anyway, there's an opportunity to constantly plug people in.
Sure.
Absolutely. So I ended my last response saying something about being a nerd about democracy and like getting involved. This has been my passion kind of always. I was the kid in college who volunteered on campaigns. I actually slept outside of early voting the very first time I went to vote in 1992. We used to camp out for tickets to concerts. I don't know if y'all remember the days of this. For the younger generation, we used to have to go camp out for tickets to concerts. So we camped out to vote. This is how much of a democracy nerd I am. And I found my passion for teaching doing civics education, and I love civics education, and I desperately want the city of Denton to have a civics education program, pre-K through 12 and into college, for those who are in college, and for plugging in young people who are not in college. I mean, I appreciate Brian's referred to our college students a lot, but there are more young people in Denton college age who are not college students. So we need to find a good role for them. I mean, folks who finished high school and went straight into the workforce, who are making our city run. And I really want to see our community invest itself in understanding our government, understanding a citizen's role, and becoming a truly citizen-led community where people come first always.
Sounds good. Sounds fun. Okay, next up we have Robert J. Archer the Third.
He's in the house.
He's in the house.
Residents are tired of paying for lawsuits and failed policy. What will you do under your leadership to ensure that stops? And what accountability lies when it does happen?
On the clock.
Say it again. I missed
Can we get the first
part
of that?
So
something lawsuits.
Residents and taxpayers are tired of paying for endless lawsuits.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. I assume he's talking about the marijuana and cannabis and all that jazz. And there's probably others too, but should bad act? I mean, Robert's in here.
Robert's there. Can we get clarity on that?
Right here. Just have him come ask the question.
Can we have Robert come ask the question?
Microphone.
Oh, hold on. Let me put a microphone on you.
Boycotts, employee harassment claims. I mean, there's a whole lot of lawsuits currently since 2024 that we've spent $1.5 million of taxpayer monies for. Why?
Yep.
Why?
Okay. Yep. Come back over. Why? Why? You're a white guy.
Yeah, no, look, it's fine. I'm the one on council, and you, one of the things that you have to make sure you do, let's go through some of them. The marijuana one that you brought up and that he alluded to as well. I think, this has come up in a number of forms and a number of conditions. This was brought before us by the citizens. It became a citizen-led petition. It became a citizen vote. And the appropriate way for the council to respond to its citizens at the 72% level is to say, okay, this is what you've asked us to do. And then there are some people in the community that say, well, no, it's illegal, we can't do that. You don't know that until you've taken it through the court system. It's not on us to make those sort of law prognostication. You need to make sure that you follow the will of the people through the court system. And now the courts have said a few things, so that's sort of put a curtailment on some of that. But when we represent the people, when we're stewards of the people, the bullhorn of the people, you do your best to follow their guidelines and dictates.
Should have stopped it before it got to that point. Public education is number one.
Robert, unfortunately, you're not on the show right now, but because honestly, I appreciate the passion, but
Yeah.
we would put a microphone on you if we could, but.
I'm with Brian. I'm glad that we took that lawsuit to court because 72% of people in Denton wanted to decriminalize marijuana, and I thought that was a fair fight to put up. I also think it was the right choice to stop when we did. Once the Supreme Court made the choice, the Texas Supreme Court made the ruling that they made with San Marcos, and it was clear that that policy couldn't go forward, that there wasn't a legal way for us to do it. But I think we needed to have a court ruling on that and that it was fair for us to participate in that particular lawsuit. Now with other lawsuits like harassment, or if the city has done something wrong to people or employees of the city have done something wrong, that's a real problem, right? Like that's the kind of preventative lawsuit prevention we really need to focus on, is making sure that we are always fully training and making sure our staff is aware of all of their legal obligations and that we aren't putting anyone in a position where they have to be sued for harassment, things like that.
Sure. Well, I'll jump in just real quick, just going off of Robert's passion there, is that, and we haven't even had a chance to really talk about it. We don't have time now, but with the deficit that we're facing, I think that's probably where some of the anxiety comes from when we are looking at all of these lawsuits and potentially, costly issues. So I think that's where
Absolutely.
a lot of the anxiety.
I think there's a huge demand in the community for us to use our resources wisely, right? That we can't.
Sorry, Shannon wants to.
Sorry, Shannon.
Oh, no, you go.
No? Okay.
I sure thought.
It looked like you were gearing up. So.
Yeah, we do need to use our resources wisely, and that one exception with the decrim lawsuit is the one that I think that we were justified in spending money on, but we definitely need to make sure we're doing work on all those other areas to not get engaged in lawsuits because there is a real desire to not waste money in courts.
Sure.
I understand why Robert is upset about this, but I have to gently push back a little bit. Along with Prop B being something that people voted on, it also looked for the community coming together for a cause they supported and agreed on. And for me, I am adamantly anti-ICE. Voting for me means keeping ICE out of the City of Denton Police Department. It means refusing for the City of Denton Police Department to sign 287G agreements. And you know what? I don't know what that's gonna bring on for the city, and I'm gonna be transparent about that right here, right now, because this whole time, my campaign and me as a person has always prioritized everyone who lives in this city, and that includes our immigrant communities who deserve to feel like they belong and feel safe here.
And I think that does. Sorry, and I'll let you do. But I think that does bring up the transparency and the communication issue with the the community. 72%, you know?
Look, having practiced law for a while, lawsuits are, a lot of times people bring lawsuits against you. Lawsuits are never good. I wish that everybody could sit down and solve problems without having to go to court, because you really don't get, people go to court to get justice. We try to do that, but oftentimes you got people who don't know you trying to decide an issue that's so deeply personal to you. Many times we've been sued, and we have to sue, but one thing you hit on, and that is transparency. Because I think one thing we have gotten into lately is we have too many closed sessions. We have too many sessions behind the closed doors. And one of the things that I want to propose and what I want to implement is, before any closed session, we take an itemized individual vote of the council to make sure that everybody's voting to go into closed session. And that allows a discussion to occur at that time on why we should be going in closed session and on why we shouldn't. Because there's been things said in closed session that have nothing to do with the legal aspects of a case. Unfortunately, lawsuits are a necessary part of the game. You can't be a $2.5 billion budget and have 2,000 employees representing 150,000, 160,000 residents with everything that goes on. We have to be prudent about, well, we have to be prudent, because I've heard things when we should have settled, when we should have taken care of people. I'm just going to say this, I'll just put it out there. Because one of the things that trips people up is the laws of the state. And sometimes we can get out of a lawsuit because the law allows us to do that. But if we've harmed one of our citizens, I think we need to think very carefully. Because just because we can rely upon, quote unquote, the law, doesn't mean that you have to. It means, can you do what you know is the right thing to do? And that takes political courage, it takes political will, and it takes transparency in the process to let the community go, this is how we do this. And I think we need to definitely make sure that we are informing the community. If we're going into closed session, why are we doing it? And if it's talking about legal matters, the city attorney can weigh in. It's all an open conversation. And then we have on record who's voting to do that. And then we all can become more accountable for that.
More informed. Okay, so the last one is Erica Garland, and it's actually a really fun question to end on.
Oh.
And not in like the way it's been fun tonight, in an honestly fun question. So if we could hit that.
So I think that what I would ask them is what I ask every candidate when I'm interviewing them for a role. I would ask them, what is their greatest strength? What is their greatest weakness? And what do they feel like will be their biggest challenge in this position?
And because this is kind of a hiring question, and it might be a nice way to end this, and less of a discussion question because it is personal. Let me put a couple of, let's do 60 seconds each, and then maybe we have some time left over. Flexible 60 seconds. Unless y'all finish writing down the... Got it? Okay. We ended with, you started, so let's go with Brian.
I think my background in science, and analytics says that my strength is that. Crunching the numbers, doing the homework, digging down, and spending hours on an issue, trying to understand that at a fundamental level, so that I can be the ombudsman of the people and make sure I'm providing the oversight, looking for opportunities for solution building and flexibility, and more than just the paradigm that you're told or the options that you're getting, but see what the full framework is. So I think I'm very good on that. And the issues of weakness, while I have been an educator for 37 years, the way I've done that is to meet with my students and communicate with them, but you don't always have that opportunity on the dais, and sometimes I'm not necessarily the most glib talker. There are people in other facilities that have a little bit better way with words, So communication is really important, but I think the way you get around that, you recognize your weakness and you keep working on it, and you say, okay, I'm going to continue to engage with the people, meet them where they are, and you work on your own issue as if it's one of the problems that you're trying to solve.
Away with Words, one of my favorite podcasts. Okay, Shannon.
I think my strengths are my abilities to be accountable, transparent, honest, and show up and do the work. And all of those things go together, right? In order to be an effective leader, you have to have components of each of these things. You have to be somebody that people want to look up to. And then that's where the weakness comes in, right? There's all these little ladies out there that think I don't know what I'm doing, that I'm a fresh face to this. They don't recognize that I have education from every college in our town, that I have networked and communicated with almost so many nonprofits in our town, and beyond the many ones I've mentioned earlier, but even some of the bigger ones. And so a weakness is trying to overcome the mindset that someone my age isn't cut out for this, when all night all I've done is prove to you that I am fundamentally cut out for this. And a challenge, I think, as going into the council, I think it's going to be reminding everyone that makes it there that we have to collaborate and we have to work together, and we have to set a new standard for what we want our city leadership to look like. And I do think we're starting from scratch, and that's a challenge.
Mr. Chris?
I think the greatest strength and greatest weakness is just bringing my humanity, my lived experience growing up, really struggling as a teenager with my single mom, with housing insecurity, with being homeless briefly because of a domestic violence incident and witnessing that. And so I bring the strength of that character building that, unfortunately, tragic situations like that, if you heed the invitation to grow. The weakness on that is you still fight some of those demons. And you want to make sure that you're very self-aware to understand where are your biases, where are the things that you think you're right on, where do you think you're wrong on. And so I bring my humanity, and that has both strengths and weaknesses. What's the biggest challenge? The biggest challenge is going to reverse the culture that we have on council, therefore reversing some of the culture we have at City Hall, and bringing back to the community a council, a body of governance that is welcoming, that is not divisive, that welcomes every voice to come in because it's in disagreement that I think you find your maximum solution. I don't know where we've gotten off to the fact that if you disagree, somehow somebody's right or wrong. So yes, those are my answers to that.
Ooh, that was really, I appreciate you sharing. That was really nice, Chris. Okay, so my biggest assets that I'm bringing to the mayor's office is the ability to hold space, listen, and create teams to solve problems. That's what I've done throughout my career. That's what I love to do, and I have a real knack for it. Not just a knack, but also academic expertise that I'm bringing to the table. I think my biggest weakness is the perception that we need someone who's had this type of management experience before to serve in this role. That's not actually necessary, right? We need a leader who has vision and who has my positives, right? An ability to hold space, listen, and build teams. That's what we need, a vision for the future. We don't have to have a person who's served in council before. Our biggest challenge is the thing that worries me a lot, and the thing that I spend a lot of time daydreaming about for if I get elected, and that's making the city of Denton believe in us again. I think that so many folks in our community have just lost hope with the city council. They don't think the city government is about the people of Denton anymore, and I think getting their trust back is going to be an incredibly big challenge.
Cool. Well, I just changed my microphone battery so I can do the outro. Thank you, everybody, for.
I thought you were going to add another 3 questions.
No, we don't have time. We're overtime at this point. Mute. All right. You guys gotta I'm gonna steal this from you. You guys gotta let me talk for 60 seconds. Thank you for joining. I know it was a lively discussion. It's an important, extremely important thing that we talk about. All of the things we've talked about, and there's a million more, obviously, that we could be getting into that we didn't even talk. We didn't even talk about the deficit, y'all. I mean, come on. But I appreciate you guys being willing, being open, sharing a part of yourselves and your perspectives. And I appreciate Bearded Monk for hosting everybody. Thank you, DCTV, Dean, all of it's honestly been, these are all people that that have been working with my show, and it's just been like so heartwarming for me to see all these people come together around this weird idea I had a year ago, and honestly believe in it and like make it into a real thing where we're having a real conversation, y'all. You know, so thank you DCTV, thank you Dean, thank you just everybody, thank you community for coming out. I don't really have like a outro or anything, so I'll just say good night and thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Godspeed.
Godspeed, you bless.